Okay, so I just put an example on the board of 25 x squared minus 49. What is our first step of factoring always, no matter what? Always, always, and forever. First step of factoring, greatest common factor, GCF. Is there a GCF? Nope. Okay, we move on. This is two terms. When there's two terms, you have to say, is it subtraction? Yes. Is it difference of squares? So 25, is that something squared? Yes, it's 5 squared. X squared minus 7 squared. So do we have a subtraction of all perfect squares? Yes. When we have this, we use the formula that's like a squared minus b squared is a plus b, a minus b. That's the formula that we had when we learned it. You get one of each sign, and then you just take the square roots. So this will be 5x and then 7. Then you always check to see if it can factor further, which this can't factor further because it's just x. Nothing's perfect squares, so that would be it. Remember that? So today is kind of, it's not the same, but it's kind of like that, where you're going to decide on the left, instead of being perfect squares, we're going to decide if they're perfect cubes. And then the formula on the right, you're just going to fill the formula out. The formula looks different though. But that's all you have to do is find out what A and B are and then plug it into a formula. That's it. So before we do that, let's just make a quick list of perfect cubes. I'm going to go to the notes are on the second page of this. Making a list of perfect cubes, 1 to the third is 1. Yeah? What's 2 to the third? 2 times 2 times 2. 8. 3 times 3 times 3. 27. 4 times 4 times 4. 64. 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to write them down. But you guys in chapter 5, which is our next chapter, you're going to have to like know these or pretty much know them, or you're going to be like really far behind. All right, so you want to start using these in today's lesson and not just listen to other people and write down their answers. Does anybody know this one without looking it up? Nope, but you had the right numbers. This is the wrong order. 216. This one's 343. This one's 512. 9 is 729. And like those last ones aren't really used as much because not as many people have them memorized, so they tend to not happen on quizzes and tests. At least not as much. And of course there's more, but this is a good list to know, or at least to have when we do our assignment. So the sum of two cubes is the formula that you will need to memorize. If we have a cubed plus b cubed, if you have something cubed plus something else cubed, this is the formula that you're going to go through. You're going to have two parentheses. In the first parenthesis, you're just going to put a and b. So a cubed plus b cubed, that would be whatever a is, whatever b is, whatever's being cubed goes in the first parenthesis. The sign stays the same. In the second parenthesis, the first spot is a squared. So instead of cubed, you're going to square it. This sign is opposite. In the middle, we multiply the a and the b together. So whatever the a and the b was in the previous parenthesis, we multiply those together. It is always plus, always. And we have b to the second power here. So here's b to the third, here's b to the second. When we're talking about factoring completely, you always want to see if something can factor further. And I will tell you, instead of you wasting your time, the trinomial, when we do this cube procedure, the trinomial will never factor further. So if you've used this formula, that trinomial can never be factored further. So it's just one less thing for you to work to look at. The binomial might, the a plus b, sometimes that could go further, but not the trinomial. Okay. Now with the difference of two cubes, there is a separate formula. You don't have to use a separate formula, but for a cubed, oops, I meant to make that black. For a cubed minus b cubed, instead of looking at it as a cubed minus b cubed, you can look at it as plus a negative. And then literally it's just the positive version. Except for any place you have a b, the sign's going to change because now b is negative instead of a positive b. So this formula, when you end up putting in a plus negative b, it's a minus b. And the same thing happens that happened right above it. These would be the same sign. So it was originally minus, so the first parenthesis minus. And then the second parenthesis is a squared. And it's going to be minus a times b, but b is negative. So the two negatives make it plus. And so we can say, well, that's opposite of the original sign. And then the last one is always positive, because if you square a positive or you square a negative, you always get a positive. So that's the formula for difference. And so in the two examples over here, you can see that the first step was to look at 64x cubed and say, oh, that's 4 cubed and x cubed. They wrote it 4x cubed. It doesn't matter which way you write it, but both are being cubed. And then 1 is 1 to the third. So this is a sum of cubes. Where people tend to make mistakes is the first parenthesis fine. Once you find the 4x and the 1, that one people are usually really good with. It's the second parenthesis in this spot. A lot of people make a mistake. Does anybody want to guess what the mistake is? Just curious. Nobody wants to guess. Okay, I'll tell you. A lot of people will write 4x squared, or they'll write 16x. And what didn't happen, if I write that in blue, what did I not do? I didn't square both of them. It's usually people write 4x squared because they put the little 2, but not actually thinking we have to square both things. So make sure that we're squaring both, if there's both. There isn't always both. And then this one down here, same way, only this one starts out as minus. So we will find that 27x cubed is 3 cubed and x cubed. And then minus 2 cubed, or you could say plus negative 2 cubed. However, either way you want to do it, this is going to end, oopsies. My computer has a mind of its own. Oh, did I just hit something? That's what I did. I hit that thing at the top. Okay. However you want to do it, you should end up with a minus sign in the first parenthesis because it started as a minus sign. And then the second parenthesis should start out with a plus because it's opposite of that one. And this always, always, always ends with a positive. In both of these formulas that you just have to memorize, in both of these formulas, there's only one negative sign. Both of the formulas, there's only one negative sign. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of these together, and then you guys have the rest of class to work on some of these. Okay, letter A. We first look at it and say, is this a sum or difference of cubes? Well, that one is x cubed. Could 125 be written as something cubed? What? 5 cubed. So that's the same as like a cubed minus b cubed. So that formula, it would be helpful to write it over and over again until we know it. So a minus b would be my first step. And then in the second parenthesis, I square the a. And then this, for this one, it was minus, but then I have a negative. So it ends up being plus ab. And then always plus b squared. So that's the formula. So in my actual example, a is x and b is 5. So when I go to my second parenthesis, I always use my first parenthesis. If I have my first parenthesis correct, my second parenthesis says square a plus 5 times x plus 5 times 5. The second parenthesis can never factor further. X minus 5 cannot factor further because it's just an x to the first power, so that's done. Okay, let's do question B. So I look at question B and I say, are these a sum of perfect cubes? Why would they not list a sum of perfect cubes in the do a sum or difference of perfect cubes? Why would they not do that, Jack?
Is because 54s is being squared.
No, that's why it's not a cube. But why would they give me an example like that? It says factoring the sum or difference of cubes. Why would they give me this example if I don't have cubes? Right? A little bit louder, hon. No, I'm going to use the formula. I'm just asking you all to think about it. We're going to use the formula. I'm trying to see if you can figure out what I need to do to use that formula. So I see cubes. Gavin? Isn't there a greatest common factor? Oh, yeah, our first step of factoring always. Greatest common factor. What is it? S to the second. Is there any numbers? Like, is it only letters, or does any number go into both of those? Yeah, they're even. So definitely 2, maybe higher, but for sure 2. So I'm going to take out that greatest common factor, and I'll have left over 8 s to the third plus 27. That's greatest common factor. Now, is that perfect cubes? The stuff in black? Not the pink. The pink's the greatest common factor. So the stuff left over, is that perfect cubes?
Yes.
What does 8 become as a cube? 2. Let's see. We've got 2s squared. And then that would be 2 to the third, s to the third. Oh my gosh, my handwriting's not great. There we go. 2 to the third, s to the third. Plus, what's 27? 3 to the third. So now I can see that my a value is 2s and my b value is 3. So I'm going to bring down my 2s squared. If you need the formula, a plus, oops, that's not it. A cubed plus b cubed. Oh, shoot. The formula is a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So if you need that formula, I want to keep writing it until it sticks. My a and my b would be 2s plus 3. So then my second parenthesis, I just square the a. So what is a squared for this one? Nathan. I'm going to square that. Put it there. Correct. 4s to the second. In the middle, we do minus, and then we just multiply these two numbers together. So, Maddie, if I multiply these two numbers together, what do I get? 6s plus, and then our last spot is b squared. So here's our b. B squared is, Cabell, 9. Okay, so that would be our answer. We can't factor the trinomial any further. I'm looking here and we've got a plus and there's no GCF and there's no squareds. That one's done. And then the GCF out front. That's as far as we can factor that one. Okay, number 4. A cubed plus what cubed? 3 cubed. Carson, what's going to go in my first parenthesis? Oh my gosh, scoot over. A. Do you have the formula in front of you? The formula is on the paper. Do you have it open? Yeah. Okay, well, it should be up here, the formula for sum. I wrote all over it, but what's the first parenthesis say? A plus B. So what's yours going to say? A what's B? What is B? Nope, that's B to the third. This is A to the third plus B to the third. So then we wrote it as A to the third plus 3 to the third. What is B? No. B to the third is 27. What's just B? 3 to the third is 27. What's just B? 27. Here's A, here's B. You see with my colors what I did now? So what's B? So B is just 3 all by itself. So as soon as you write it as A cubed plus B cubed, you're only looking at what is cubed for A and B. So now in the second parenthesis, we have to do A squared minus AB plus B squared. So we're literally just following the formula. We know what A and B are. We're going to follow the formula. So in my first spot, Amy.
For A squared?
What goes here?
Like, I think it would be like A to the 5th.
To the 5th? No.
Isn't
What's A?
1? Like
No.
1A.
Oh, lowercase a?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you need to take that to the second power. So we go here to here and you square it.
So A squared?
Mm-hmm. And then we do minus. And then in the middle, we've got A times B. So Jacqueline, what would be in the middle here? 3A, because that's our A and our B multiplied together. And then we always have plus, and then for our last one, we do B squared. Brian, what's it going to be? 9. A plus 3 does not factor further, and I've told you the second parenthesis won't go any further. That's it. That's all you have to do. One more. Number 5. 6z to the 5th minus 670z squared. Celia, what should we do first? Greatest common factor. What is it? Or do you know? Take a guess. Are they both even? Does 3 go into both of them? So let's try 6. How many z's?
2.
Somebody want to tell me what that is? 125? That would be really convenient if it is 125 because 125 is a perfect cube. Oops, I just wrote that while I was saying it. So we've got z to the third minus 5 to the third. We can now use the formula. I do need to bring over my GCF though. Don't forget. Gotta remember that guy up front. So if I have z to the third minus 5 to the third, Grayson, what is going in this first spot in the first parenthesis? Z is correct. Hannah, what's going in the second spot?
5.
Okay, what sign will I be using?
Negative.
Correct, minus, yes. All right, then we've got to our second parenthesis, which we have to have the formula. And if you don't know it yet, then you should definitely be writing it down over and over again when you do your assignment. Jacob, what goes in the first spot in the second formula? And z squared, good. Derek, what happens next?
5z plus 5z.
Plus 5z, good. And then last, am I not hold on? Oh, Brett. 25. Now we look at z minus 5 and we say, can that go further? Can factor z minus 5 factor further? It's not squared, so no. We're done. So your assignment is just a bunch of those kinds, just factoring that kind over and over again. I have a bunch of paper copies if you'd like a paper copy. If you want the internet copy, go for it. Yeah, we'll be able to do that once I get these passed out. You want paper? Right here. There you go. Paper.
No, I'll do my.
Paper. Either of you want a paper? Nope. Not one left. Woo. Okay. All right. So you guys are working on that. I will. Oh my gosh.